morning.
Good morning.
I apologise if my voice is a bit croaky. I'm trying to fight off a cold. When thinking of ideas on what to include in my story, the words boring but blessed came to mind. Boring because I don't have a radical testimony like others do, but blessed because I've always had God in my life.
Yeah. That's the one.
I gave my life to the Lord when I was 13. I've been raised in the church. My parents are Christians, my grandparents are Christians, my great-grandparents are Christians, so I've been super blessed.
Yes, amen. That's awesome.
At 13 though, I knew I couldn't piggyback off my parents' faith anymore, so I had to make the decision, and in the quiet of my room, I gave my life to the Lord, and I felt His amazing peace flood through me.
That's awesome. Praise God.
Fast forward 10 plus years, and life was good. I'd found the man of my dreams, Pete. We got married, we bought a house, we had great careers, we had a very busy social life. God was in the picture, well, sort of. To be honest, I kept Him at arm's length. I did church on Sunday, I served, but only really to fill a need, and I was busy. I was pretty much too busy for God. After a year of wedded bliss, Pete and I hit a wall. A really rough patch in our marriage. Anyone who knows Pete can attest to the fact that he loves to talk. Ironically, our issue in our marriage was communication. So, instead of turning to God for help though, I thought, it's all good, I can fix it, not a problem. Didn't quite work out that way though. We got counselling, which did help a bit, but it wasn't until I relinquished control that things started to change for the better.
Cool.
We also approached our pastor in our church to find us a couple who could mentor us, and under their discipleship, this also helped heaps as well. At this time, we had changed churches to a more spirit-filled church. There I encountered God, the God I know now. My eyes were open to the extraordinary love He had for me, and I developed a personal relationship with Him. His timing really is perfect, because at this time we found out that we would struggle to conceive. After a while of trying, Pete went and got tests done, and his doctor put it super bluntly and said his sperm were in such low condition, or poor condition, that the only way I would have a child is with somebody else. We chose to ignore that diagnosis and press into what God had to say on the matter.
That's good. That's good.
After receiving multiple words from friends and family that we would have children, I decided to go to the horse's mouth myself. So one night, I had a Bible in hand and I said, I'm not leaving this room until you give me what I want. I want to know if I'm going to be a mum or not. If yes, cool, I'll keep going forward, and if not, I'll put that dream to rest. After some toing and froing, God led me to a verse in Jeremiah that said, for I am a father of Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. And Ephraim is the name I'd always wanted for my son. So don't try and steal it, because the baby will be coming. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that was my confirmation. After a couple of years, and with no baby on the horizon, we decided to pack up and move to Canada. Doors flew open, which showed us that God was in the picture. Pete was in hot demand because of his trade, but my teaching qualifications weren't recognised overseas, so I couldn't teach. I really struggled with this, as for quite some time my identity had been found in my profession. So I became a homemaker. Well, Pete earned the moolah. God showed me one quiet time that my identity was to be found in Him. There I began to understand what it was to be a daughter of God.
Awesome.
He had to take me halfway across the world to teach me this, because I sure wasn't listening in little New Zealand. A year passed, and Pete and I were keen to extend our visa. I had a job then, and both our bosses wanted to sponsor us to stay. All things moved in that direction. We even went to an immigration lawyer to suss things out. But the more prayer we put into it, the more we felt that God was actually calling us home to New Zealand. And this time I was a little late, but I didn't take a test. I had taken hundreds in the past and always got my hopes up. So I just was pretty cool, calm and collected about it. On the Monday, we handed in our resignation, and on the Thursday of that same week, we took a test. The result? Positive. After 5 years, God had fulfilled his promise to us. Throughout the early stages of pregnancy, I was a nervous wreck. I constantly lived in fear that we would lose our baby. The song "No Longer a Slave to Fear" became my mantra, and I constantly sang it over our baby. I remember having a quiet time one morning, pouring out my fears to the Lord. I had no symptoms of pregnancy for the previous week, and I was getting a little bit worried. As I journaled the words, I literally had to run to the bathroom and throw up my breakfast, and I felt God say, "Was that clear enough?" He's got a sense of humour, all right. Throughout our fertility journey, we had friends and family suggest IVF for adoption. I firmly clung to the promise that I had received. I probably sounded like a lunatic because I was talking to strangers about how God is going to give me my baby. So what does my relationship look like with God today? Just that. It's a relationship. We hang out. I'm intentional with the time that I spend with him, putting aside distractions.
That's good.
I offload heaps to him, and he responds, usually with what I need to hear, but I don't necessarily want to hear. Does that mean life has been cruisy since developing a relationship with the Lord? Heck no. After Ken spent her first month of life in Skaboo due to complications at birth, after my dad was diagnosed with leukemia last year, after my mother-in-law's been diagnosed with cancer this year, I marvel at how anybody can do life without God.
Yeah, that's right.
Let me encourage you to not get too busy for God.
Yeah,
I thought in
awesome.
my busyness that I was happy, but I've learned that being still at times is so much better for me.
Yeah, so great.
I challenge you to carve out a bit of time each day for God and watch things unfold.
Yeah,
He's
beautiful.
an awesome daddy, and he wants you to know him as he knows you.
Yeah.
Will it be an easy ride? No way. But often the more challenging things are the most rewarding.
Amen.